All right, everyone, I'm going to follow up and talk about the wash process after having a car ceramic coated and the way to get the most out of your wash process and to make it as simple as possible, as safe as possible, taking care of your car after having the ceramic coating application. I generally recommend to people that they need to wash their car after it's been coated a minimum every 2 weeks. And all this does is keeps the car from getting excessively dirty to the point to where you have a lot of grime building up. And if you leave it on there for weeks on end or months on end, it can clog the pores of the coating, and the coating loses some of its self-cleaning abilities, it loses some of its hydrophobic abilities until you do a really deep decontamination wash after that. And unless you're really knowledgeable in car care, that should probably be done by your professional detailer. But by just washing your car every 2 weeks, maybe every 3 weeks, when the weather permits, that's going to take care of the coating 99% of the time, and it's going to give you best use of your coating. I highly recommend rinseless washing. If you scroll down in my videos, you're going to find several videos that I have on rinseless washing, how to perform it, how the process works, and the things that you will need. I'm not going to address rinseless washing, the actual technique, in this video just because I have so much other content that talks about rinseless washing. So today we're going to be talking about the standard wash. Now, first of all, I recommend you use a good, high quality car wash soap. This is G-Technique G-Wash, and this is a high lubricity, very highly concentrated car wash soap that rinses free and does not leave anything on the surface after the wash. Now, let's say you're not going to go and purchase the expensive, most high-grade soap that money can buy. That's fine. At least if you're going to do store-bought, buy a good high-quality car wash soap such as Meguiar's Gold Class. It can be found at most Walmarts, AutoZones, car care stores, and it is a good over-the-counter store-bought soap that's not going to do you any wrong. It's just not going to be exactly the same as this. But then again, I'm a professional detailer and I have a lot more expensive, best use products for the vehicles that I work on, and that's why I use products like this. If you're one of my clients or prospective clients and you would like to get some product like this, whenever you go ahead and purchase the ceramic coating, please let me know and I'd be more than happy to make an order for you and we can have the products ready by the time we have your ceramic coating done. When it comes to washing the vehicle as far as wash mitts, I love these, what they call bone sponges, that you can buy at Walmart. Lots of car care sites have them because they're very safe for the clear coat. Now, this side back here, they call it the bug sponge. No, we don't use this side. This will put marring in your ceramic coating or basically anything. This is way too abrasive to use on your car's surface, especially on the paint. But this side is fantastic because it's small, it's easy to handle, and it traps all the dirt inside the fingers so that the dirt is not pushing against the surface of your vehicle. So whenever you're washing the car, you're going to want to do it one section at a time, and after every section, you're going to want to put it back into your wash bucket, preferably using 2 buckets, and one of those buckets is going to be a rinse bucket. It's going to have a grit guard. This is a grit guard, and what this is a tool for releasing the dirt after each section into your rinse bucket. So you've got 2 buckets. One bucket has just water in it. It's about 3/4 full, and it's got the grit guard in it. So what you do is you put your wash mitt in your bucket that has the soap in it. You wash one section. You put your bucket into your rinse bucket with the grit guard, and you push the wash mitt against the grit guard, thus releasing all the dirt into the bottom of this bucket, and then you put your wash mitt back into your soap bucket. That way you have a good process for not reintroducing the dirt from the panel you just washed back onto the surface of the vehicle, thus creating swirl marks, marring, scratches, and things like that. You don't want to rub the same dirt that you just rubbed off on one section onto the next section. Using a grit guard is the safest way to wash and take care of a vehicle. Grit guards are readily easy to purchase. You can get them off Amazon, you can get them off almost any detail supply store, and they are standardized, so they fit in any 5-gallon bucket that I've ever ran into. I'm sure there's an outlier out there, but any 5-gallon bucket that I've ever ran into would fit a grit guard just fine. They're very inexpensive. They cost around $10, and the one I just showed you I've been using for years and years and years. They really don't break down or wear out no matter how much use you put into them. So drying the car. Let's say you're washing the car. You should always wash the car in shade or in a shaded area in the morning, in the evening. You don't want to wash the car in direct sunlight simply because your propensity for having water spots is going to be much higher. So while you're washing it section by section with your 2 buckets, you want to make sure to keep the rest of the car wet. Don't let sections of the car completely dry while you're doing other sections. Keep the car wet, the entire car, while you're going through your wash process. Always start at the roof, go to the windows and work your way around, and then work the hood, then work around the rest of the car. And that way you're working your way down and you're doing the panels with what is normally the least amount of dirt first, which are the upper panels, and then you're working around to the lower panels, which are going to accumulate much more dirt. I always use a separate wash mitt just for wheels whenever I clean wheels. That way later on I'm not reintroducing the brake dust from the wheels into my wash process on the rest of the car. So I usually do wheels first with my separate products and system, and then I will go ahead and wash the rest of the car. If you have ceramic coated wheels, soap and water should be more than sufficient to get them clean and looking great again. When it comes to drying the vehicle, you're going to do your final rinse of the car and get every single bit of soap and grime and all that stuff off of the car, and there should be nothing sitting on the surface except water. Now, since your car is ceramic coated, it's going to be much more hydrophobic than a car that isn't ceramic coated. I would highly suggest using a leaf blower, an air compressor, a car dryer. All of these things are relatively inexpensive and readily available. Most people have at least one of them, and blowing off as much of that water as humanly possible. If you don't have that, and even if you do have that, there's going to be some water residue either way. And that's when the microfiber drying towel comes in. Now, they make a million types of these drying towels. And the most important thing is that you do not treat this thing like a hatchet and rub against the car. What you're going to want to do after you have rinse the car and you're drying it out is to gently pull the towel across the surface and let the towel do the absorbing of the water. You don't want to push it into the car, and especially if this is an edgeless towel, but especially if yours has edges, you don't want to push those edges into the paint, because anytime you do stuff like this, and you have to understand, I'm a pro detailer, I'm a little obsessive about this, anytime you're pushing those edges into the car, the chance of creating swirl marks through just your drying process is significantly higher. And that's why I love using an air compressor, a leaf blower, or a car dryer to dry most of the car, because now if you've done that step, you've got significantly less drying to do with the towel. All you really have to do is walk around the car, and if you do see something, pat, 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 dry the rest of it, and then you're done. After you're done with that, I'm going to talk about some standard use care that can be done after the wash process to really take care of the car.